Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Derek Runberg, reporting from Portland, Oregon, uh, not Boulder, Colorado, for SparkFun Electronics. This is part of the Maker Education webinar series hosted by SparkFun, and today we're going to be talking about this guy, the Microbit. If you haven't heard of the Microbit, I don't know where you've been, maybe under a rock somewhere, but it has taken the UK by storm, and it came to the US this summer. It was launched at ISTE, and part of SparkFun, we launched an entire ecosystem of products around it. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Microbit today. But more importantly, we're going to talk about how to combine the Microbit with something called the MIT App Inventor. And so we're going to create an Android app that will be able to interact with our Microbit through Bluetooth. I'm going to pull up some slides here and give us a little bit of context and background. So this webinar is going to be pretty URL heavy. So what I've done is that I've put these URLs into the slide deck. If you want to access the slide deck later on, the http://sfe.io/appbit URL will get you to this slide deck, so you don't have to be scrambling to write down really, really long URLs. And if you want to copy and paste them later, you can do so. But we're going to, again, be exploring beyond the Microbit with MIT App Inventor, and an add-on to that called WalkieTalkie. We'll talk a little bit more about why that's important and how that bridges the gap between the hardware on the Microbit and your phone or Android device. Again, we're combining the two, and again, we want to give a shout out to the Laboratory of Playful Computation at UC Boulder. They're the ones behind WalkieTalkie BLE and what we've been able to do to combine the Microbit with App Inventor and be able to extend the application points of the Microbit for a lot of students and tinkerers alike. So why this combination of Microbit and hardware and Android device? First of all, with WalkieTalkie BLE, this simplifies and cleans up a lot of use for BLE in K-12. If you've ever done Bluetooth with Arduino or any other hardware, you know, especially BLE and the communication protocol back and forth, it is no easy task to get two devices talking to one another. And especially in K-12 scenarios where students are just learning to code, but they so badly want their stuff to talk to one another. Also, this promotes team coding, and what I mean by team coding is that since there are two pieces of hardware, students can be programming in teams. You can have one student programming the Microbit and to be able to talk to the phone, and you can have another student actually programming the app and building the app. And then they can switch when they come to another project back and forth. So this actually promotes both students working at the same time, but also then having to communicate to figure out how do they make their two projects talk to one another. It's also programming across disciplines. So the Android device, very graphic, visual, how am I building software? The Microbit is about how do I control and use hardware? And how do we mash those up is really kind of the 21st century economy in a lot of ways. Also, the last bit is that the Microbit and the app are independent from one another. So there's a number of other ways to be able to get your Microbit to talk to an app, but they usually have to either a lot of the software is written on the Microbit, and it will only work with the Microbit, or it will only work with the phone, and the app is the thing that controls the Microbit. Or in this scenario, you'll see in a bit, with WalkieTalkie, I can actually have an app that's running and it will talk to the Microbit if need be, or I can have software running on the microbit, that the microbit can be doing its thing even when the phone's not asking for data or information. So a little bit of background information for you. We're not going to go into in-depth getting started with the microbit. We're going to leave that to your own research. Place to go for that from our point of view is sparkfun.com/microbit. This will give you access to all of the products that we build to support the microbit, as well as content and getting started video series by Sean. So you'll be able to get started with those videos as well as the tutorials, and then explore a lot of the different ecosystem components that we sell. We'll talk a little bit more about some inspiration that may come out of this webinar series. And then if you've never programmed an app before or used App Inventor, check out App Inventor. It is amazing drag and drop block environment you'll see for programming Android devices. I use it even as a someone who codes professionally. I use it all the time to build something really quickly and get a prototype or an idea out there. A lot easier than writing code from scratch via text. Both of these, by the way, if I go back, notice the need this URL. This is a URL that you'll need when we set up the environments for WalkieTalkie BLE. So when you're doing this on your own, you can take these URLs off of this slide deck. I'll also show you another place on the web that you can get them, the WalkieTalkie website. And then again, this one is for the really long one down below is the URL for the App Inventor extension that you'll need as well. So another getting started for WalkieTalkie, the Playful Computation site. Great example of getting it started, and especially with programmable RGB LEDs. They have a quick video tutorial of how to make a color picker on your phone, and to be able to use that to control RGB LEDs or red, green, blue LEDs with the microbit. So if you want to see an example project of both how to do this in the microbit and how to do it in App Inventor, check out this URL. And it's also going to be a place for you to go to get started if you can't find this slide deck, or you just want to find one place to go and get it. So with that, I'm going to stop screen sharing here. Come back to me. By the way, this is my bird, Harold. I'm from Portland, so I put a bird on it today. And we're going to take a look at getting the microbit set up. We're using Microsoft MakeCode, which is the programming environment. I'm going to share my screen here in a second and get us up and going with the microbit. Then we're going to jump to the app side and get the app side up and running. So we're going to get the microbit programmed and then the app after that. So share screen. So first of all, what I've done already is that I have actually removed the radio. I've added the Bluetooth. I've added all the modules and packages that I need for the software. So one of the things I'm going to actually go back, I'm going to start over again so that we can see how it all works. I'm going to start a new project. And I am going to click down here and add package. And what I want to do is I'm going to add Bluetooth first because it's going to use that right off the bat. That'll be its base communication protocol. And I'm going to remove the package for radio, and that will actually add Bluetooth for me. As you can see here, it adds it. But what I need to do is actually I need to go in and add the WalkieTalkie package as well. So to add packages, I can go down through advanced and again click on add packages. You can also come up here to settings, add a package this way. You cannot search for it yet. So if I say WalkieTalkie, it doesn't show up. What I have to do is I actually have to give it the URL for the WalkieTalkie, and I go to the WalkieTalkie website, and I can scroll all the way down to the bottom. Here's this wonderful example of RGB LEDs. These are the files that I need. And the Microbit one that I'm looking for is this one right here. And I need to get the whole URL. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to paste. Search. It will give me the WalkieTalkie package. We're hoping that in the near future this will be searchable, but for right now you have to do it this way. So WalkieTalkie, and now I have both the Bluetooth and WalkieTalkie packages ready to go. So if I open up WalkieTalkie, you see that there are two blocks associated with it. If you haven't seen MakeCode before, it's block-based programming for the Microbit. So I have these blocks that I can click and move around and drag around. I can also switch to JavaScript, so I can actually code in text as well. We're going to stay in block-based. And then over here we actually have a simulator on the one side as well. So for now, I'm actually going to remove forever. So I'm going to delete that, and I can just click and drag it over. A couple of things that we want to do just as that will help us in development so that we know when the Microbit is connected to my phone via Bluetooth. On its own, it won't tell me anything. So I have to actually do some programming, or I have to write it into my program so we can debug later on if we need to. So I'm going to click on Bluetooth, and I'm going to drag in two blocks on Bluetooth connected, and also on Bluetooth disconnected. So I want something to happen when my Microbit connects to something via Bluetooth or it disconnects from something Bluetooth. The Microbit has this wonderful LED display, a really, really horrible low pixel monitor of sorts. So we're going to actually use, show icon, which is just basically show a picture. What I want to do is I'm going to have it show different pictures based on its connection. So when Bluetooth or BLE is connected, I'm going to have it show a check mark. Yes. And when it's disconnected, I'm going to have it show an X. I also, when it starts, so I know that I've uploaded my code properly, I'm going to show an icon of a heart. So when it powers up, a heart will show up, and then it will go from there. Now, here's where we start getting into WalkieTalkie. So there is two blocks in here. It's if a message is received or send a message. So it's both listening, I can listen, and I can also send messages over Bluetooth low energy. We're going to start out by just listening for messages from the phone. So we're going to get into sending messages in a bit, but first of all, we wanted to do on message received. And it takes two pieces of information. It wants a key value pair. And what a key value pair is that there's a key or a name. You can name the piece of data that you're getting, which is the key, and then a value, which is whatever that piece of data equals, essentially. So the key is I'm just going to call it data. So the Microbit will always be listening for a piece of data that has a key or a message that has a key called data, and then it will have some type of value. Now that piece of data, that value can be anything, but it will be a string. So both of these are what's called string or letters. Think of strings as sentences and words or groups of characters. So instead of just A or B or 1 and 2, we're looking for groups of characters as a string. So what we want to do is we want to know what that value is, and based on that value, we want to show something. So right now we're gonna create the beginnings of a mood picker or mood communicator app. So basically, if I don't want to talk to somebody and I'm like not in a happy mood, I want to be able to pull up my phone, press a button, and it will show the mood or if I'm grumpy, it'll show my grumpy face on the little LED array on the Microbit. So I'm going to use some logic here. And I'm going to say if and I'm going to pull in so if something is equal to something, and I'm going to say if a variable, which is value, so if value is equal to, and I need to pull in a string, so that's actually in text down here. Let's say sad. So if value, so if that piece of data, value, is equal to sad, what do we want to have happen? Well, we want our LED array to show an icon. And we want it to be a frowny face, sad face. So the Microbit receives a message of a key value of data, and the value is equal to sad. We'll show the icon frowny face. So this is all the code that's going to reside on our Microbit. Now to install this on the Microbit, we're going to do a couple things. First of all, in our settings for our Bluetooth, so we're going to go into project settings. We can name the project. Name it Sad Face. And you can pick how you want to pair in the security protocol basically for Bluetooth. I like using the default or just works pairing. Depending on your device and security settings on your device, the no pairing required I found works and sometimes and not. Same thing with the passkey. Passkey pairing is something that's pretty high-end, not high-end security, but it adds a layer of annoyance and security for you. The just work pairing actually works really well, and we'll hit save here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I plug in my Microbit via USB, and I'm going to download this file. So what this does is that it takes the blocks of make code, turns it into what's called a hex file, the code that's going to run on the Microbit itself, and then downloads it to my downloads folder. And then I can actually drag that file, sad face, I know you can see that I've played around with this a lot this week, to my Microbit. And it will program, my Microbit will flash, so copying it to the Microbit. And I'm really quickly going to show, stop screencasting, and I am going to switch to my overhead camera here. So now you can see my Microbit has a heart because that's what it says when it starts. And now I have my phone here, but it doesn't have an app. So I have to write my app for my phone. If you're doing this real time, I really urge you to just kind of watch along and learn along with me, because this is going to be it's kind of quick. But the App Inventor, you have a kind of an app that runs on the phone itself will help you bring your custom built app onto your phone. There's a number of ways to get the app onto your phone. We'll talk about it in a bit. Oops. Here we go. There you go. There's my Microbit with the heart. Phone that I'm going to be working with, but we don't have, like I said, we don't have an app on it yet. So we're going to work on that app. I'm going to share my screen again. So we're going to jump into App Inventor. So App Inventor is online. You have to sign up for an account. Same thing for your students, sign up for an account. Usually it actually connects to your Google account. So if your students have Google school accounts, they can use their email address and it'll be attached to their Google account. You can start a new project. I already started one, but I can open it right here. So these are all of my projects. It's called Bit App. I'm going to open up my app. And it has two components to it, similar to what MakeCode had, except for there's Designer, and then there's blocks. And we'll talk about the difference between these two, but you can see that this is my Android device screen, and it's named Screen 1. And I have different components that I can click and drag around. So you can see on the list here, on Screen 1, I have 3 components already. A list picker, which is right here. I have a label, searching, and WalkieTalkie BLE1. And we actually need to go in and we need to import the extension. So to import the extension, I'm not going to go through it full tilt right now, but to give you just an idea is that you would, in your palette here, go to the bottom and click on extensions, and you can import extensions. And then that really long URL, you would actually paste here and click import. And that will give you the access to WalkieTalkie BLE. So you actually click and drag WalkieTalkie BLE into your app. I'm actually going to delete the second one that I just did, but it's a non-visible component, meaning that it's kind of something that's going to be running in the background for us. It's not something we're going to physically see on our app. So what this is the base of our app. And what it's going to allow us to do is, once we connect via Bluetooth, it will allow us to select our microbit that we want to control, if you have multiple around, or just the one that you're working on. And then a little bit of feedback information to let us know if we're still searching for a microbit, if we're connected, if we're disconnected. This text will change. How do we get that to happen? Well, we do that with the blocks, the block programming environment here. So there's 4 groups of blocks that I work with to get things started. And this is really in order of how your phone will interact with the microbit. So when this app starts, Bluetooth will start scanning for microbits right away. And this first block is when WalkieTalkie finds, or when a microbit is found, we want it to have it do something. And what we have it do is we have it set the elements or the items inside of our list picker. So list picker is a little tool. It's like a drop-down menu. So it actually sets the items in the list to a list of the microbits that it's found. So all of the list of all the Bluetooth devices that show up as a microbit, it will create a list of those and put it in the list picker. After that's happened, when I click on the list picker and I select something from that list, it will actually connect me to that microbit. And you'll see how this works when we run it on the phone. But it'll take that selection as the index of list picker selection index. Basically, what places is that in that list? And then when I've connected, that text, so if I go back to this text that says searching to start with, will change to connected, and it will change, the color will change to green. So on the side here, just like MakeCode, it's block-based, and you have all these different options. So when I chose text color, I can actually go over here and select different colors. When I wanted to change the text, I can select text and drag this block in and change it. The WalkieTalkie blocks all come from right down here, WalkieTalkie. So when I can drag in when WalkieTalkie BLE1 connected, do something. Same thing for when I wanted to change that information for the label. That piece of text is called a label. I have all these blocks of the things that I can change or pull in to work with. So I could have actually changed the font size if I wanted to, or I can set the height of the text. A lot of other things. Change the text color itself, which I do right here, to green. If it's disconnected, it turns red and it says disconnected. I want to add a component so that you can see kind of the design process this goes through. So this was just that basic connection. These two visible components in the WalkieTalkie one. What I want to add is that button so that I can say, I'm sad, right? I want to send a frowny face to the Microbit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the user interface right here. And I'm going to go down to buttons. I'm actually going to drag in a button. I'm going to place it right there. Now it says text for button. It's kind of a boring button, and I don't want it to say that. I want it to say sad. So in the properties of this button, I'm going to scroll down over here, and there's text, and I'm going to say sad exclamation mark. I want to, when I press that button, that's me saying that I'm sad. And that's the button that I'm going to have. Right now, we're just going to do a demo. It's only sad. Sorry. I know it's rainy here, so it's kind of just dull drums and dreary. When I go back to my block programming environment, I now have a button underneath the blocks that I can work with. So I can say button, and I have all of these different things that I can work with. When button is clicked, I want something to happen. Well, I want to send that data. Remember that key data or key value pair? I want to send that key value pair to the Microbit. So I'm going to go to WalkieTalkie BLE down here on the blocks. And there's a call WalkieTalkie BLE1 send key value. That's what we want. Just click. And I need to add the key and I need to add the value. So I'm going to bring in text. There's my key. I'm actually going to copy and paste this. There's my value. Now I need to add that piece of information. The key was data. My value was sad. With that, our app is complete. Double check my design. I'm going to be able to connect my Microbit, sad face. I can press the button. We're all good to go. BLE is added. Sorry. Double check this. Yes, it's sad is my key value, or data is my key, sad. Double check that, compare that here, data sad. We're good to go there. So now we need to get this app onto our phone. There's a number of ways to do this. I can actually save the app to my computer and then upload it to my phone if I plug this into my computer and pull it in. There's a way for me to provide the QR code for the actual app. So if I want to make this permanent, I can. Since I'm only prototyping, I'm going to actually use the App Inventor Companion. And so if I say connect via Companion, it gives me a QR code as well as a character-based code. And I'm going to use the character-based code. So I'm going to actually open up. Switch to my overhead camera here. So I'm going to open up the Companion app. And it asks for the 6-character code. My 6-character code was WK. Let's see. And hit connect with code. And it brings up my app. So one thing I want to do is in my Bluetooth, I'm going to actually open up my settings. And paired device, I'm going to scan them just to make sure. Done. So I should be connected with my, oh, let's try this. So to actually put my Microbit in Bluetooth pairing mode, I'm going to hold both buttons down, and then on the back, there's a reset button. I'm going to press and hold that, and then let go of the reset button. and it will say pairing. Scan. And now it actually has the GOZOT name of that device, so it's actually connected. Just for a second. So you saw the check mark, so now I'm connected via Bluetooth. Remember, we put when this thing's connected, we have a check mark. I have a paired device. I'm going to go back to my app. So now I have these paired. I'm going to select a microbit. Oh, go here. Let's try this again. Never works on demo day. So I'm actually going to reconnect again with my companion. So this is OS. Let's see. Okay, so now I click on select microbit. You see the name of my microbit here. So I select that. And you can see that the text has actually changed. It's hard for you to see underneath the camera, but it's changed to green. It says connected. If I click the SAD button, now the face on my microbit changes to the SAD face. Now, there's only one option, SAD face. So one of the things that we need to do is, how do we write an app that will also make it so that I can change it to a happy face? So we're going to go back to our app and go back to make code to add the components to build, so I can add a button for a happy face. Open up my screen share again here. And we're going to start again at the microbit side of things. We have this logic statement of an if statement. I'm actually going to change it a little bit. I'm going to say else if. So we're going to add a little bit to this if statement. So it's if values equal to SAD, do this. Else, if it's going to be equal to something, do something else. So I'm actually going to duplicate this statement. And I'm going to say if it gets happy, I want it to show a happy face. Perfect. Frowny face, happy face, the key value pairs of happy and sad. That's it for the microbit. So we're going to actually go back to our App Inventor, and we're going to create another button. So I have to go back to my designer. So I always start in designer, and then I work my way up. I'm actually going to drag another button in like we did before. Change the text to happy. Go to blocks, and my button, second button, is when button 2 is clicked. I want to, and I'm going to duplicate this as well. Work smart, not hard when you're coding. So we're still saying data, but instead of sad, we're going to say happy. I have happy, sad, still sending that key value over WalkieTalkie BLE1, but the pieces of information are different. So I need to go back, and I actually forgot to upload this new piece of code to my microbit. So I'm going to, again, hit download, click done, show in the Finder, and I'm going to drag this new piece of code over to my microbit to get it uploaded. this app, I'm actually going to make sure that I pair. I'm going to dismiss my old app. Switch to. So I'm going to close this. And I am going to open up my Bluetooth settings again. And I'm going to repair. Pairing mode. Pair it. Perfect. And now I'm going to run my companion app and get a code for my new app here. So I'm going to again reset my connection and companion, which gives me a new code. So you don't see it on my screen, but it's RJYJI. So I have now two buttons. One says, oh, I'm going to select my Microbit, connect to it. It says connected. Now I have sad and happy as my options. I'm actually going to say happy right away. It gives me a happy face, sad, frowny face, back and forth. So now I can communicate my emotions through computers, through computer code in the app. This is also great if you have like a computer or a robot that you want to have it communicate different emotions, or just be playing around with different icons that are on the Microbit. It's actually really fun to have this as like your name badge, and you can actually type in, have it show different things if you're an event. If you're a student, they wear this on their wrist as a watch or kind of a cool bracelet, and they can change the different patterns that are on it with an app. It's awesome. So we have, I'm just looking at time-wise right now, we have just under 20 minutes, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually get information now from the Microbit back to our phone. So right now we've been sending data from my app to the Microbit, and now I want to be able to, what I want to be able to do is I'm going to make, this is going to be a shake and bake app. So what I want to be able to do is take my Microbit, shake it, and then when I shake it, something happens on my phone. And what I want my phone to do is actually send a text message to somebody, to my friend. It says, shake and bake. So we're gonna work on that really quickly. And then if we have any time left, we'll actually end up talking about how I envision seeing this happening in a classroom, and giving you some extensions with both hardware and some software with the MIT App Inventor. So let's jump into make code. So I have my app here. I have my sad face, happy face. What I want to do now is on shake, do something. And I have an input. So if I click on inputs, there's a box here, or a block that says on shake, and we want to do something on shake. What we want to do is we want to send a piece of information. And so we're going to actually use WalkieTalkie. We're going to send key value. And we have to specify, I'm going to put it just under here. I'm going to move everything around. You know what this looks like already, so I'm going to move it up, move these over. We got to name the key, and we got to name the value again. So I'm going to call the key, anything that's coming from my Microbit, I'm going to call it bit. Now, depending on how much information you're sending from your Microbit, you might have the key be different sensor names, You can have it be whatever you want. Right now, since I'm only sending one piece of information from my microbit, I'm going to call it bit. And I'm going to call the value shake. Basically, shaking my microbit. And that's it. All I need to do, shake this thing, and it will send this key value over BLE, that WalkieTalkie BLE. So I'm actually going to download that and get it on my microbit right now. While that's uploading, I'm going to jump to my App Inventor, my app. And I actually hit it. So when WalkieTalkie BLE1, message received from microbit, and it has a key and a value. So if I receive a message from the microbit, this will actually capture the key and the value of that message. To be honest, right now, since we only have a single piece of information, I actually don't need to use these. I can just say when a message shows up, do something. And that's kind of the short way of doing it. Not always the best way, especially when you're starting to teach students about different pieces of information coming in here over BLE. So I at least like to give a single if statement to check the value, if not the key and the value. So we're going to do just the value. So we're going to bring in a piece of control text here. And we're going to say if. I'm going to bring this in, drag it down there because I need to bring in some logic. We'll build this down here. So value equals shake. So if this value, from the key value pair is equal to shake, then do something. Well, what do we want to do? We want our cell phone to actually text message a friend. So we actually need to go back to our designer because we forgot to add the text message block. We're going to go down here, and there is a social from my palette. There's a social palette, and lo and behold, there's a texting component. I'm going to drag that in, and it will add it here. It's an invisible component, just like the WalkieTalkie BLE. So texting is invisible. I'm going to go back to blocks. Now I can use texting in code. Now, to build the text message, I need two things. I need the actual message in text format, and I need the phone number that I want to send it to. We're not going to use a real phone number, and definitely not mine, because I don't want you all sending me text messages. And then we need to send that message. So we need 3 blocks from this area. So we need to set the message to begin with, and that will be a piece of text or a string. We'll add that in a bit. We need to phone number, set the phone number, and that can be a string or a number. And then last, and we will actually tell it to send the message. So we need a piece of text for the message, telling my friend shake and bake. And his or her phone number is going to be a number. I'm going to actually pull up from math. And I'm going to say, I almost put my cell phone number in there. This area code. This can also be a string with it properly formatted with the parentheses and dashes and all that other stuff. Or you can just use straight up numbers. I don't think it will work with spaces though. So either proper punctuation or just use it as a standard number. And then send message. Now this is obviously not going to send a text message to me or any phone that we have here. But I will show the example of it shaking, and then it will show on the phone that it sent a text message or sent a message. So I think here we have, I'm going to go back to the phone, and I'm just getting it set up here. And overhead. Set this up for pairing. Unpair this guy. Unpair him just because it works better that way. Connected. And now I'm going to run my app here, AI Companion. I have my code from my screen. It is HXAYOG. Okay. And now I can, again, select the microbit. I'm going to select the one that I have here. You're connected. It says connected. I still have my functionality of happy and sad. Now, if I shake my microbit, if you watch really closely, I know the screen, overhead screen's not the greatest, but it will send, it'll say message sent here down below. So if I shake this, message sent. So it actually sent a text message to whoever has 999999999 as their cell phone number, if that even is somebody's cell phone. So we've now used the microbit to trigger a text message on our phone. We've used the phone to change the LED array on our microbit. So that's control both ways. I think for today, that's enough for us to explore. I'm actually going to be writing a blog post for next week on the education blog about how to take this a little bit further. So I'm going to move the phone and the microbit over here. And how I took that, how I'm going to take it further is I'm going to use this. So this is the weather bit. It is a breakout board or carrier board that we've created for the microbit. So if you haven't seen these before, the microbit has these edge connectors here, and it plugs into this board. If you remember Nintendo or Super Nintendo, any of the cartridge systems, it's the same technology. I can actually take this and I can plug this in, and now it's like it's a cartridge system. So now what we've done is we've given the microbit some access to some higher end sensors and actuators. On the weather bit, it is a humidity, barometric pressure, temperature and altitude sensor, soil temperature, soil moisture, and some weather vanes or weather meter. So the blog post is going to be me taking you through building an app on your phone that can actually read all of this data from the weather bit here, so that you have really just a simple weather app. You can go leave this out enclosed outside or undercover somewhere and then connect to it via Bluetooth on your phone and get some pretty accurate weather data outside. You get data back and forth. Some other options, I'm going to move this over here, is this guy. So this is our Shoutout chassis with our Motobit. So this is actually, if I plug this in, this is plugs in this way. And what this is it is a motor controller. It turns the microbit into a robotics controller, and has access to motor drivers, so I can actually drive these motors, and pin breakouts, so that I can use some basic robotic sensors on them with the microbit and the robot. Great thing for this would be I can then use my phone as a remote control to drive this guy around. And I can have some basic buttons of forward, left, right, back. arrow buttons, and drive this thing around. One of the other board that we have that I didn't have on hand today was our Gamerbit. It basically turns the Microbit into a regular Nintendo format game controller. And that one is that you can actually take that controller, write a game in App Inventor, and then use the Microbit as your game controller in very creative and different ways. So that's some hardware that you can explore on your own, and that we're going to be looking at doing a body of content around this. No promises. It's just something that we're looking at doing for the classroom to help extend the Microbit into your computer science classroom. There's a lot of classrooms that are using App Inventor out there. If I want to go back to screen sharing, because I really quickly want to go over App Inventor. I'm going to go back to Designer, and I want to show kind of what the comparable side of that is for software. So we did text messaging in our social palette here, but there's Twitter, and everybody loves Twitter, so I can actually trigger a tweet. Or share something via my phone and the internet. I can email somebody. I can have it call somebody. I can totally see you having it be call a pizza button, right? So I can have my Microbit program to automatically call the closest pizza takeout place. The sensors that are on your phone and tablet are also accessible. So the accelerometer, the camera for a barcode scanner, the clock. One of my things that I really want to play around with is the location sensor, the GPS that's on my phone. So when I'm within a certain range of a location, or if I'm home, the Microbit does something. So now my Microbit, I can have my Microbit react to where it is. Pedometer, so being able to take walks, proximity sensor, all of these things are now accessible to be able to program my Microbit and do something with my Microbit to react to these pieces of input. Media, camcorder and camera, so I can actually use the Microbit to trigger taking a picture or recording video. One of the things that I really want to play around with is the speech recognizer. It is something that is, so I've been just reading the documentation. I haven't played around with it yet, but it is, it takes your voice and will turn it into text message. So it will actually listen to you and translate your speech into text that then you can have your phone or the Microbit react to. So every time that I say blink, you can have it blink an LED, or you can make a robot that is voice driven. A lot of interesting, what is normally we think of as high computing power is now accessible via this. Drawing and animation, as I referred to earlier, were the game. So these are the items that you use to kind of build games in App Inventor. User interface, we have all these things. We use the button and the list picker already, but you have a number of other things like a slider. So I can actually drag and drop this in, and I can slide this back and forth to control something. Yeah, there are just a number of things. If you have Lego Mindstorms, now you're starting to combine Lego robotics, Android apps, and the Microbit. So you have just, it's really building this ecosystem of STEM and STEAM learning around technology. And again, like I said before, it really breaks the classroom down into teams that can, you have your app team, you have your Microbit team, you even have your NXT team or whatever else you want to have. It's really all communicating through this app and using the phone and the students' phones especially as the center of their universe. Really excited to what comes of more out with App Inventor as well as WalkieTalkie BLE in the future. Again, if you have questions, I'm solo on this webinar, so if you have questions, please add them to the comment boxes in YouTube at the bottom, and I will try my best to get to them in the next 24 hours and over the weekend. You can also email us at education@sparkfun.com if you have any more questions about that. That will find me at some point But again, try to put them in the YouTube channel comments, and we can make sure that we get them answered. I bet you 100 of other people have those questions as well. So with that, I'm actually going to say goodbye. If I can get this thing to show you. So again, thank you very, very much for joining me for the 45 minutes to an hour, however long we spent together, looking at the Microbit App Inventor. Again, if you need that URL for the slides that we showed at the beginning, that is SFE, as in SparkFun Electronics.io/APPBIT, appbit. So that URL will take you to the kind of that information of getting started and the URLs you need. You can also visit the WalkieTalkie BLE website from there, and they give you kind of a good step-by-step starting point. And be on the lookout for my for the blog posts coming out in the next week or so. So thank you so much for joining me, and probably see you in another couple of weeks when I'm co-hosting, I think, the last webinar. So, me and Jeff. I will talk to you all later.